Your comedy, I want to get into this because that must have been hard for you because I feel like a lot of guys have copied you now, but you kind of went a different way. Your stand-up was weird and original for that time. It must have been hard to break through the club circuit with like the Einstein diarrhea, bed death, or all that. Like those jokes were a little outside the box.
Well, it wasn't that I wasn't punching through at the clubs, but a lot of clubs, the sign just says comedy.
Yes.
Like they're not coming to see anyone specific. They don't have any taste of what they like and don't like. They're just like, I just want to see a goddamn comedy show. And you're there to sell drinks.
But you killed at the clubs, though. I saw you at Caroline's in high school, and you killed. I mean, you were...
Well, yeah, I mean, because I learned very quickly, like, I do want to do this as a profession. I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
There were a lot of, as much as I loved, and I still love doing the Largo, but, and you know this, in the alt scene, there were also a lot of hothouse flowers that were really good in these alt rooms, but they never went out on the road.
100%.
And you've got to be able to. Now, there were also people that only did the road.
Yes.
And that kind of hardens you, and you kind of stop having a personality after a while. And then you also become unmemorable. So you got to find that right balance of you go right in the alt rooms and then you edit on the road. Like the road makes you get. I remember I was doing a show with Mitch Hedberg at the Largo one night, and he said something so he goes, beware of any comedian who writes for a half an hour and says they have a half an hour of new material.
Oh, so true.
Like you do a bit at the Largo and it's like 2 minutes of this will work.
Yeah.
On the road or like in front of, you know what I mean? It works here because the crowd is on a different wavelength, but don't expect to go out and go, so I went to this audition and I don't, it's on the Fox lot. Now, going down Pico and people are like, the fuck are they,
Right.
Right. And a lot of people never made that adjustment. So I tried, I mean, again, there was a lot of, failures, and I got booed off stage in Pittsburgh one time.
Whoa!
It was right during the.
You were like, Roethlisberger's innocent.
No, I was making like the fucking lightest jokes about. It wasn't even political. I was just made a couple of references to George W. Bush, like before the Iraq War, and I think people were all freaked out, and they just started screaming at me, and they'd locked me up in the office. And while they had to clear the room out.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was really, really rough. So I was like, okay, I got to figure out a way to... First, I got to find my audience and then get confident enough to make any audience my audience.
Yeah, well, you were one of the guys that you could make a joke about anything. Like, sometimes this thing happens to you and you're like, this is funny, but no one's going to get it. Like, you had that magician bit.
Yes.
That bit's amazing.
Wasn't it on Werewolves and Lollipops?
Werewolves and that magician in Richmond, Kentucky at a one-nighter. Well, I'd also seen comedians, if you are as interested enough in what you're talking about and it really is fascinating to you, you can transfer that to the audience.
Yeah.
It's like how Dave Chappelle has big blocks of time on stage where he's not necessarily getting a laugh, but the audience is interested. Because what he's telling you is fast. And you're like,
they trust him.
Let's see where this goes. But if you're...
I've had...
Ironically, he's good at transitioning.
He is,
I've had millions of those nights at open mics where the heroin addict is there, or the crackhead guy, or the schizophrenic guy.
Dr. Pepper.
Yes,
Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper.
But you captured it.
We all had our open mics where there was some... I just called them like the persistent mutants, where they were never going to have a career as a comedian, but they were going to be there every week to tell their tale. And it was so... In D.C., we had a guy named J. Van Hubbard and a guy named Jim Anderson. Like, these guys were like, I don't know why you're showing up, but there's something kind of beautiful
100%.
in you coming and
There's
doing
like a purity to it.
Yeah.
They're there for love of the game.
Yeah.
Yes.
They have not figured it out in a business way. But like they're going to be there, and and you're like, all right,
it's almost cool. Freak show kind of traveling circus type shit. Like we had Mike Lawrence on here last week, and we started together, and we had an old guy. This guy must have been 900 years old. He came in on crutches. We had the guy who was clearly off, mentally, and he thought he was going to be the next
but enough
Tom
about
Cruise.
Mike.
Yeah, but we had everybody.
Yeah. But that's also, I mean, you look at someone like Mike back then in comedy, there was also, you were expected to sort of have a specific rhythm and a specific look and a specific way about you. And I think one of the best things that alt comedy did was really blow open the door to, there's no way to look or talk or act as a comedian. Mike's the way he talks and looks is not like the rhythms of other comedians.
No.
But audiences are now so much more open to especially like people that are maybe neurodivergent or just approach jokes in a completely different way. And they're like, okay, good, that's how this goes then.
Mike's also so clearly like a savant. He's an incredible joke writer.
The joke writing is
he's
insane.
unreal.
He's so good.
He is unreal.